Your way to your seats. Also, if Eva Nazarowitz is here, could she please make her way up front? Oh. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Breen. I'm Worcester Academy's 32nd head of school, and it's my privilege to welcome you here today. Those recognized today will be added to the long list of WA greats, hilltoppers who have done notable things by taking their Worcester Academy experience out into the world, and those who have given in ways that have changed this beloved place on the hilltop forever. Indeed, you have taken seriously the charge to achieve the honorable, and it is we who are most honored to call you our own. Because we were not able to gather together like this last year, today we celebrate 2 years of award presentations. To get us started, please welcome Worcester Academy's incoming Chair of the Board of Trustees, David Chamoyan, class of 1970.
Good afternoon. Established in 2002, the Distinguished Alumnus or Alumna Award recognizes the accomplishments of an alumnus or an alumna who has demonstrated the Academy's mission through excellence in his or her chosen field. The award is presented annually. In 2020, Distinguished Alumnus Award recipient Michael H. Shulin, class of 1970. Michael is a writer and curator who was the founding creative director of the National September 11 Memorial Museum. After graduating from Harvard and living in Paris for several years, he moved to Soho in New York City. In the immediate aftermath of 9/11, he and three friends started a grassroots photography project called Here is New York, a democracy of photographs inviting anyone with images of what was happening to contribute them to the exhibition for the benefit of the children of the rescue workers, undocumented immigrants, and others. The project struck a chord, spawning more than 24 exhibitions around the world, a website that received more than 1 billion hits, a best-selling book of the exhibition, and donations of nearly $1 million to the Children's Aid Society WTC Victims Fund. More than 1 million people visited the exhibition. Subsequently, Mr. Shulin was appointed executive director of the 9/11 Museum at Ground Zero, where responsibilities included the convening of exhibition space and directing the designers and architects. He's worked on several other projects and exhibitions and is currently writing a book and working on an exhibition about COVID-19. Michael is married to Moira Hodgson. The couple has one son, Alexander. Please welcome Worcester Academy's 2020 Distinguished Alumnus, Michael Shulin.
I was thinking about standing here in the spring of 1970 when we graduated, 51 years ago. It was during the war in Vietnam. Richard Nixon was the president. There were riots and demonstrations all across America. Several months earlier, 4 students had been killed at Kent State by the National Guard of Ohio during a demonstration. And one of Worcester's most illustrious alumni, Abbot Charles Hoffman, was on trial in Chicago for inciting a riot during the Chicago, the Republican National Convention, the Presidential Convention of 1968. It was a very troubling time, but it was also an exciting time. And we here were going off to college, and we were also going into the draft. There were no longer any student deferments, and there was a lottery. And they put all the days of the year numbered into a bin, and they pulled out your number. And if they pulled out your birthday, then then you could go. And that was a lottery that I won, and I'm very glad. And that was the only lottery that I ever won. In a lot of ways, the time that we're living through now is not dissimilar to that time, and it's a very exciting time, but it's a very troubling time. This country is riven by dissension and by disunity, and for me coming back here, it was very thought-provoking for me to think about what it was like in 1970. I'm very grateful to Worcester Academy for not only giving me a really terrific head start on my education, but for giving me the presence of mind to think for myself, to say what I believe, to stand up for what I believe in, as I think we all do, and as we all have to, no matter how old we are, whether we've just graduated or whether we graduated 50 years ago. So I want to thank the Academy for this honor, and it's really wonderful to be back here and to see a lot of people that I was very good friends with again. Thank you.
Established in 2003, the Young Alumnus or Alumna Award is given to an alumnus or an alumna who's graduated from the Academy in the past 20 years and has demonstrated success in his or her chosen field or has contributed significantly to his or her community. The award is presented annually. The 2020 Young Alumnus Award recipient is Rebecca Vaudrey, class of 2000. Becky is a board-certified music therapist who earned a music therapy degree from Berklee College of Music and a master's in educational neuroscience at Harvard's Graduate School of Education. She is currently working on her master's in social work at Fordham University. She holds additional certifications in speech in specialty areas of neurologic music therapy, neonatal intensive care music therapy, and music therapy-assisted childbirthing. In 2010, she founded a model for music therapy programming that was replicated on multiple military installations in the San Diego County area. Since 2014, she serves as the lead music therapist for the National Endowment for the Arts Initiative, Creative Forces, Military Healing Arts Network. She develops music therapy best practices, provides clinical and research mentorship for music therapy team members, supports increased access to creative arts therapies, research across military and veterans healthcare systems, and promotes arts-based partnerships in clinical and community settings. Her work has been published in the arts-based and rehabilitation peer-reviewed journals featured by CNN, ABC News World Tonight, PBS, as part of the 2017 Memorial Day Capitol concerts, and a White House blog. She works with Jamaica Field Service Project to supervise music therapy in the areas across Jamaica. Congratulations to Worcester Academy's 2020 Young Alum recipient, Rebecca Vaudrey. On Rebecca's behalf, her parents, Al and Shirley will accept the award.
Good afternoon. As you can tell by Rebecca's graduation picture, she's kind of either an all-in or an all-out type of person. We proudly accept this award on behalf of Rebecca, who couldn't be here today as she is honoring a commitment to her field work at the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. This is part of her work field study for the Master's in Social Work at Fordham that she has undertaken last year and will hopefully finish up next year. Although she's not here in person, she's certainly here in spirit. During her 6 years here on the Hilltop, her voice is rung on this stage many times in musical productions, in choral concerts, choral performances and assemblies. As a newly retired teacher who's worked in this building for nearly every day for 30 years, it was very nice to have the opportunity to watch Rebecca and actually Michelle, who graduated in '06, and Joe in '09, develop themselves academically, creatively, and personally. And it's truly an honor to be back with all of you here for this celebration. So thank you.
Rebecca has prepared a few remarks for us to share, so this is in her voice. Congratulations to all the recipients of honor, and thank you, WA, for the Young Alum Award in recognition of my contributions to the profession of music therapy, especially my work with military-connected populations. WA as a school and home for myself, parents, sister Michelle and Joe, brother Joe, represented more than an inflection point. It was an arc of complex change and personal growth, redefining self and community, creating new pathways and connections, and developing what I've learned over time to be resilience. Throughout my time at WA and for a few following years, I experienced challenges and triumphs to remain authentic and empathic in the pursuit of passion. My passions grew to encompass broader definitions and innovate integration of continued learning, service, and the arts, music being my choice as a mechanism of change. Over the past 10 years, I've had the absolute privilege to serve those who selflessly serve in the United States Armed Forces, as well as their families and their caregivers. Through this work, I continue to uncover and discover the veritable core values, commitment, service, and sacrifice, and have truly learned what it means to achieve the honorable. Thank you. That's from Becky.
Thank you, Captain.
The Cole Porter Arts Award has been established to honor members of the Worcester Academy community who have made a significant and lasting contribution to the visual or performing arts during their professional or personal lives. Recipients are recognized for embodying the passion for the artistic pursuits that exemplify Worcester Academy's visual and performing arts programs. Hailed as magnetic and a vocal powerhouse, mezzo-soprano, Leslie Jacobson Kay, class of 1980, is the 2020 Cole Porter's Arts Award recipient. Leslie is equally at home on the opera and recital stages. Her warm vocal timbre and command of the stage have opened the doors to a wide variety of operatic roles over the years. Her return to the stage in 2018 and 2019 as Madeline Mitchell in Jake Heggie's 3 Decembers followed an active recital schedule and participation in the music festival in Luxembourg.
Am I there?
Most recently, she participated in a virtual online ensemble in response to COVID-19 with more than 100 vocalists and instrumentalists. Early in her career, Leslie performed as a participant in the Chautauqua Vocal Institute as an apprentice with the Lyric Opera Cleveland and toured extensively throughout New England and the Mid-Atlantic states. She has also made an impact as a fundraising professional for the Curtis Institute of Music, the Philadelphia Orchestra, and the Boston Conservatory at Berkeley. Currently, Leslie is Chief Advancement Officer for Chapel Hill, Chauncey Hill. An alum of Skidmore College, New England Conservatory, and the Boston Conservatory, Leslie was honored by the Boston Business Journal in 2014 as part of its Woman of Influence feature. Leslie lives in Wayland, Massachusetts, with her husband and 2 children. I am pleased to honor the 2020 Cole Porter Recognition Awards recipient, Leslie Jacobson Kay.
Wow, good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful to meet the new headmaster, Kevin Breen, and welcome to the former and incoming and outgoing presidents of the board, and to Kim Stone as a fundraising professional. I want to give her and her team a shout out for all the organizing that I know goes on behind the scenes to make a day like this happen. And also welcome to my fellow recipients. It's wonderful to be with all of you and to read about your extraordinary work that you've all done, and to the other alumni who are here, friends, and my family. It is really wonderful to get this award. I'm very honored to be the 2020 recipient of the Cole Porter Arts Recognition Award. It was written that Cole Porter was quoted that he said that he found his voice at Worcester Academy when he was here from 1905 to 1909. Well, like Cole Porter, I too, and I know I'm not the only one, I found my voice at Worcester Academy. And I remember it like it was yesterday, and in fact, almost the exact moment when that happened. I was just about to start senior year here at Worcester Academy. I'd finished a summer program actually up in Canada and got the bug, was doing musical theater for the summer, and was really excited to see what the musical was going to be. And it turned out it was going to be, coincidentally, Cole Porter's Anything Goes. I had my eye on the role of Reno Sweeney, and I ordered the album, yes, the album, and the music. If you asked my 3 sisters and my parents, but I practiced and got ready for the audition, and I got the role. Bill Taylor was the director at the time, the late, wonderful Bill Taylor, and he took a chance on me. He really took a chance on me. I was in the chorus prior to then, and I think I surprised not only myself, but I think I surprised many others. I did always love music. I enjoyed singing. I come from a family on both sides of music lovers, music appreciators, and musicians as well. But I don't know that I ever imagined that I would be a soloist on the stage, even though I sort of from afar wanted that and hoped for that. And especially the thought of performing in front of my classmates and my peers. So to say that Bill Taylor made an impact and made a difference, and that giving me that role was a life-changing event would be an understatement. It ultimately led me to a lifelong passion and career in opera and recital performance, and my career as a fundraising professional, always connected to music, no matter which institution I fundraised for. My heart was always in music. And this has led me now to my current board work for a new music ensemble that champions the work of emerging young composers, and it has really given me a new fire, a new bug for commissioning. So I'm now working with a wonderful composer and a poet, and we are working on a piece of music that I'll be performing in the spring. And I hope this is the start of more of that, because I think we do need that more than ever right now. And the thought that there is new music to be heard that might be comforting and might speak to someone, especially during these challenging times, feels quite rewarding and quite wonderful. I do want to thank my parents, Frances and Howard Jacobson, for always saying yes when I said I wanted to go do something that was music related. I got my degree at Skidmore in sociology. And when I graduated and I said, I think I want to audition for music school, they said yes. And that led me to the Boston and the New England Conservatory. So I'm very grateful for all of the yeses. And to my in-laws who are here, Avril and Michael, for being very supportive, and also for raising my wonderful husband, who has been not only a wonderful support to me, but also happens to have a great skill in music technology. So you can imagine during COVID that with all of my performing and coachings and voice lessons being in the living room, that's really been quite a wonderful thing. And to my children, to Sam and Melody, for not running screaming out of the living room every time I was vocalizing, thank you for your support and hanging in there with me. So again, thank you to Worcester Academy for this wonderful award, for giving me my voice, and for helping future generations of students to find theirs. Thank you.
And once again, congratulations to all of our 2020 Alumni Award recipients.
You know, unlike our last two recipients, I've not been on the stage many times. It's my first time, and I'm just struck by the beauty as I look out. It's the most impressive place I've ever addressed a crowd, and that way it's a very fitting environment for today's awards. Congratulations to the class of 2020 alumni recipients. I'd now like to introduce Worcester Academy's current board chair, Jim Petro, to present the Alumni Awards for 2021.
Thank you, Kevin. It's an honor to be here. I've got 1 month to go in my chairmanship, so it's fun to kind of wrap things up a bit this way. Our first recipient, the 2021 Distinguished Alum Award winner, Adam Najberg, is actually joining us from Singapore. It's 5 a.m. in the morning there, so welcome, Naj. Naj is the class of 1986. He always had dreamed of being a foreign correspondent, and for a quarter century, he lived that dream. After serving as an editor of the Vergonia for 2 years, Naj reported and edited for his Bowdoin College paper. He graduated with a degree in Asian Studies and attended the Graduate School of Journalism at UC Berkeley. His career moved quickly, with prominent roles at the Associated Press, Radio Taipei, American Public Radio, AP Dow Jones, and the Wall Street Journal. He studied or picked up 5 languages and traveled to more than 20 countries in 20 years. After conquering journalism, he joined Alibaba Group, the world's largest e-commerce company. In 2016, serving in a variety of senior content and public relations roles, Naj is currently head of global communications for Tencent Games International. Over the years, his work as a journalist, author, and documentarian has earned him many awards. Too many to list, but including the Best in Business Award from the American Society of Business Writers and Editors, and multiple Webby and Society of Publishers in Asia awards. Naj lives in Singapore and is married to Merv Zephyr, and the couple has 2 children, Mats and Mathea. Without further ado, please welcome 2021 distinguished alumnus, Adam Najbert.
Thank you. I hope everyone can hear me. I thought I was getting the Young Alumnus Award. Discovered I was not, but I'm over that. That's okay. I know these speeches typically begin with the speaker saying how honored he or she is, but I wanted to start by admitting a few things to you guys. First, my 2 sisters, Margie and Faith, and we didn't really, at first, nearly didn't get the chance to attend Worcester Academy. We just couldn't afford it. Headmaster John Bloom gave us scholarships in return for my dad's social service aid.
And once Naj's connection is back up, we'll connect with Naj again. The 2021 Young Alum Award recipient, Eva Nazarowitz, is here with us tonight, I believe. Eva, can I ask you to come forward, please? Eva, class of 2001, is a director of growth marketing at LinkedIn, where she is responsible for generating new customer revenue globally for LinkedIn. Talent Solutions. Prior to that, Eva spent 6 years working across multiple marketing functions at LinkedIn, spanning customer, product, and brand marketing. She began her career path after graduating from Claremont McKenna College with an economics and math degree. She later joined a management consulting firm, Bain & Company, where she found herself gravitating towards consumer goods and marketing. She left Bain to enroll in an MBA program at Harvard. After graduating, she was a part of the marketing team at Intuit, where she worked on brands such as TurboTax, Mint, and QuickBooks. Over the years, she says she has continued her commitment to education, community service, social impact from her time at Worcester Academy. She has volunteered with We Teach Science, mentoring middle school students, and worked with Bridgespan nonprofit consulting services, serving clients such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Eva lives in San Diego with her husband, Britton, her son, Alexander, and their dog, Wellesley. I present to you our 2021 award winner, Eva Nazarowitz.
Thank you so much for this award, and to everyone at Worcester Academy who's put together this event under challenging and ever-changing circumstances. I have to say, when I got the call that I made it in just under the wire for a Young Alumni Award, I was pretty excited about that, as youthful is not the word I used to describe how I felt this past year. So that made me feel pretty good. I think the typical approach to accept an award like this would be to speak to my experience at Worcester Academy, my time here, and everything I've done in the past 20 years since leaving Worcester Academy and my career in life as a result. But anyone sitting in these seats understands what a Worcester Academy education means, and you've got all of that stuff about me in your program, so we can skip past that. So today I'm gonna flip the script a little bit and talk about my journey before Worcester Academy. I grew up on this hill just a few blocks outside these gates in a rundown triple-decker. I attended local public schools, which had and continue to have the majority of their students eligible for free and reduced lunch. I was one of them. I also had parents who saw the value of education and believed in my potential. They spoke glowingly about Worcester Academy as we passed by the gates on Providence Street. When I was in 6th grade, my mom signed me up to take the scholarship admissions test. The stakes were high. The top scorer would be awarded a partial scholarship. It would be the only way I'd be able to attend. A few weeks later, my mom got a phone call. I had scored well on the test, really well, but I had come in 2nd place. And for a reason that will forever be mysterious to me, the 1st place scorer declined the scholarship. So I was the next in line. I was in. The next 6 years, I was nurtured, I was challenged, I made lifelong friends, some of which were here today. I was supported by teachers who believed in me, counselors and advisors who helped me find my path. They opened my eyes to possibilities and provided the foundation for me to move across the country to California, to somehow navigate financial aid and make things work. Thank you, Ms. Canterbury, for all those conversations in the pit. To enter college exceptionally well prepared and to confidently pursue a career in business and marketing. But I often think back to that day and that phone call. What if I hadn't been number 2? What if the top scorer had made a different decision? Why was my life and my career trajectory and my classmates' trajectory so different from my neighbors in the neighborhood? And that has solidified my belief that an exceptional education shouldn't be limited to the top scorer on a test or someone who has a mysterious stroke of luck. So my closing ask of you, each of you who's a distinguished alumni, guest, friend, is to consider what you can do to make exceptional education available to all students, regardless of background or zip code. So I ask you to consider making a gift to the Worcester Academy Neighborhood Scholarship, which provides full tuition to students from the city of Worcester who illustrate significant economic challenges. And in addition, I ask you to make a commitment to supporting the public schools in your own community. Consider where you can have the biggest impact and take action. Thank you again, and congrats to all of the other recipients.
The 2021 Cole Porter Arts Award recipient this year is Martha Sullivan, class of 1981. Martha has enjoyed a varied career in concert music, and singing has allowed her to travel around the world. After graduating from Yale, she attended Boston University for graduate studies in opera performance. While there, she developed a reputation as a go-to singer for challenging new concert music. She has premiered and recorded works by important 21st century composers and earned attention as a soloist for the avant-garde repertoire. She performs regularly in professional choral ensembles. In 1999, organist Stephen Tharp asked Martha to compose a new work for organ. This became four-movement organ symphony Slingshot Shivaree and launched her career as a composer. Choral groups around the country have commissioned music for her, and she has also composed chamber and symphonic music. Her work has won her the Dale Warland Singers Choral Ventures Competition for emerging composers, as well as the Sorel Medallion for women composers. In 2018, she earned her MA in music from Rutgers University and re-entered academia, teaching at New York University, Rutgers, Bard Conservatory, Westminster Choir College, Hunter College, and Columbia. According to Martha, her research and teaching have made her a better composer and performer. A longtime resident of New York City, she is currently working on her PhD dissertation at Rutgers. Please help me congratulate my classmate, 2021 Cole Porter Arts Award recipient, Martha Sullivan.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Let's talk about how, whoops, I have the mask on. I knew I was going to do something like that. Let's talk about how Worcester Academy has always offered its students a good foundation in the arts and why that matters. We had great teachers. We had plenty of opportunities to practice the stuff we loved. For me, that was singing and acting and playing French horn and later baritone horn. I admit that playing piano in the recitals always terrified me, but how could you say no to Henry Hokins? I was also afraid of dancing, so I'm still in awe of people like Leslie, who totally owned the stage tap dancing and Anything Goes. It was great. But let's go beyond nostalgia. To put on the spring musical each year, we needed a stage director and a music director, a choreographer, a set designer, a lighting designer, a costume person, a stage manager, a house manager, and that's just the grown-ups. We also needed the kids. Some of us worked tech and built sets, and then there was all of us on stage spending all those hours rehearsing, repeating, refining, going mad with the anticipation of opening night. So of course, I grew up to be an opera singer, a choral conductor, a composer, and a music professor. Do you ever think about the challenge of getting so many moving pieces to work together? Do you wonder how people can possibly synchronize the way they do when they're performing musical theater or string quartets or ballet? I think about this stuff all the time because I spend my life figuring out how to make group music. You have to listen. Singers listen to their collaborators. Conductors listen to the people they're leading. Composers listen in to the imagined future sound of people playing what they're writing. I think we all had our first experiences of mature listening here at Worcester Academy. Sometimes it was formal, sometimes informal. I remember Howard and Janet Schoenheit playing some classic recordings of bebop jazz for me. It blew my mind as much of the classical music I was learning to sing. And wrapping my mind around Thelonious Monk was just as challenging as figuring out how to sing fast roulades in Mozart's Alleluia. These memories are clear and vivid 40 years later. And now, while finishing my PhD in music composition, I have also been teaching at schools like CUNY and Bard and Columbia. To teach music is to listen to your students as you are trying to teach them, in turn, to listen. It is, as they say, complicated. So yes, I have fun things on my resume. I've won competitions as a singer and as a composer. I've performed many times at Carnegie Hall, sometimes even singing solos. And my compositions have been performed all over the United States. I've met many of my heroes and discovered that some of the people I admire aren't the most famous ones. For example, yesterday in New York, I got into a conversation with a Bangladeshi cab driver on the way here. He said he was glad to be alive, and that every day we are alive, we should be grateful. He was talking about COVID, of course, and he was right. But we need to take it further. We need to sharpen our hearing. We need to listen to the people around us. We need to figure out how to welcome them in, and we need to figure out how we ourselves belong. This is more important now than it ever has been because our futures are less certain. We'll do better, though, if we work together. Same way we all did back when our common goal was just to get that musical on its feet, to make all the notes and the words and the steps happen in gorgeous synchronicity. For all that learning, Worcester Academy, I will always be grateful.
No? Okay. Thank you, Martha. I was trying to see if we had Naj back from Singapore, but we do not. So we'll allow him to do his speech another time. But I want to thank you very much. Back to Kevin.
Congratulations to the 2021 Alumni Award recipients. I'd now like to call up our Director of Development and Hall of Fame Committee Chairperson, Kim Stone.
Good afternoon. The Worcester Academy Hall of Fame, established in 1976, recognizes individuals who, through their many years of service and devotion to the Academy, have had an important impact on the school and society. The Hall of Fame members include alumni, former faculty members, heads of school, coaches, faculty spouses, trustees, benefactors, and friends. The Hall of Fame also includes alumni whose work has influenced the lives of people everywhere. This afternoon's first inductee is Frank Callahan, class of 1971. Frank Callahan is a Worcester native whose deep family roots extend back many generations. Indeed, walk down any street in Worcester and about every third person is a cousin to Frank Callahan. He entered the Academy as a sophomore day student in the fall of 1968 and matriculated to UMass Amherst to pursue his love of history. Frank began his work at the Academy in 1996, joining the Alumni and Development Office. Soon after Frank got here, the estate of Jacques Le Bermuth notified the school of the bequest from an alumnus who had not graduated and about whom the school had no knowledge. Frank worked with persistence on this bequest, one of the largest ever made to an American boarding school, and he did this for all of his 24-year career at Worcester Academy. Because of his love for history, Frank was a natural at being named the school's official historian. He gathered lots of stories about the school's history from his visits with alumni and former faculty and through poring through the Academy archives. Faculty and administration have asked him many times over the years to give talks on the history of WA at assemblies, classes, and alumni events. Even at local events, Frank has become somewhat of a local celebrity. Through the influence of his parents, Frank became involved in many aspects of life in the city by volunteering in charities and political campaigns. Notably, he has served on the board of the Greater Worcester Land Trust for more than 30 years, in which time the trust acquired thousands of acres of land and created an extensive trail system, which Frank has thoroughly enjoyed hiking since his retirement in 2020. Frank is also active in local politics, and come election time, you will often find him on a street corner holding a sign and waving at you. Frank is an amazing fundraiser. His success at Worcester Academy was driven by a love for the school, a persistent manner, and a deep listening for those who had a Worcester Academy story to tell. Many of us who have followed in his footsteps in fundraising look to him as a role model and often find ourselves saying, "What would Callahan do?" And what has Frank done? Through his work as a fundraiser at Worcester Academy, Frank Callahan played a critical role in the closing of literally millions of dollars of gifts that served the school to grow, indeed transform. Walk around the campus, peek into a classroom of students, stand on the sidelines of a game, and you will bear witness to the amazing impact that Frank Callahan has made at Worcester Academy. It is with great honor, Frank, that the trustees today induct you into the Worcester Academy Hall of Fame and welcome you to the podium.
Thank you very much, Kim, for your kind remarks. 50 years ago, I could never have imagined that I would be inducted into the Hall of Fame with my classmate, Victor Fields. I feel this is a great honor to be included with such a wonderful group of alumni, friends, and faculty who did so much for Worcester Academy. But just as importantly, I fervently hope that a lot of the current and recent retired faculty members are also inducted into the Worcester Academy Hall of Fame because of the fact that I had a great run at Worcester Academy and I enjoyed every minute of it, and I enjoyed working with the faculty each and every day. I wish my parents were here to see this award because they deserve it as much as I do. And in particular, because I'm being put into a membership group with Carl Briel, who was their dear, dear friend. And Carl, by the way, was a World War II pilot, as was my father. The school has thrived over the past 2 decades. And my part was, in this great run, was having the extreme good luck to work on the Lurber Muth Bequest, which made such an impact on the campus. And my love of history also was a fun way to connect with the faculty and students. But one of the anecdotes that is, I think, an important piece of history I've thought about a lot recently, and so I'll tell it to you. An alumnus named Austin Cable had purchased the old St. Vincent's Hospital campus. He had tried to make the building into apartments, but was getting absolutely nowhere. So I called him one day and I said, "Austin, I think Worcester Academy would be interested in purchasing some of your land." So what did he do? He called up Jim Petro. And I had nothing to do whatsoever with the process of the acquisition of all that land, but it was my wild idea, and I was a real busybody doing that. And typically I'm not a busybody, but this was one where I think I was okay in doing that. So I just wanted to pass along that anecdote. I'll close with another anecdote. One day, a faculty member named William Addis, who I think might have succeeded Diana, was sitting at the lunch table with me and mentioned that when he came to Worcester Academy for his interview, he took the train and he got off at the train station and he came out of the train station and it was a bitterly cold day, and it was snowing, and he had been told that the hotel was just across the square from the train station. So he was looking around, and he's like a lost puppy. All of a sudden, a car pulls up, and some people roll down the windows, and he says to them, "I'm here for an interview at Worcester Academy." And the people in the car go, "Worcester Academy? That's where Frank Callahan works." So they get in the car, we'll give you a ride to where you need to go. So in any case, I said, "Did you get their name?" And he said no, and I said, "Well, thanks a lot, but I just, it's great to have a lot of kind friends, even the ones you don't know. Thanks a lot."
That was so fun. After completion of a theater major at Boston University, an MFA in directing at UConn, and 7 years as assistant professor of dramatic arts at Washington University in St. Louis, Diana Canterbury returned home to Massachusetts. Initially hired by WA to teach English, she began to offer electives in the theater area. Soon, her acting classes became too large and noisy for the classroom in Kingsley Hall, so a search began for a more suitable space that culminated in the transformation of the cavernous basement study room in Walker Hall. The space, which would become known as the Andes Pit Theater, was the central location for the entire theater curriculum of 4 levels of acting classes in a year-long class called Directing, Theory, and Practice, as well as a gathering place for young theater artists. Over time, the program grew to include theater design and technology, as well as costume design. During her tenure here, Diana directed more than 50 plays in the Pitt Theater, including many challenging scripts rarely presented at secondary school level. Diana fostered a program that focused on creative collaboration and ensemble, and her students were deeply committed to the core values of the theater program. Diana has received a number of awards for her teaching. At Washington University, the students in the College of Arts and Sciences presented her with an award for excellence in teaching. She was also recognized by Worcester Academy with the O'Connell Teaching Award and was honored to receive the Olmsted Prize, an award for outstanding secondary teachers presented annually by Williams College. It's been decades since Diana began her career at Worcester Academy, and remarkably, she is still in touch with many of her former theater students, and she loves hearing about their artistic and personal achievements and milestones. Diana, in celebration of your induction into Worcester Academy's Hall of Fame, those very students have a few words to share.
Wow. Nancy, Buzz, the play that I was in, Worcester Academy, directed by Diana Canterbury, postgraduates, the cheerleaders, the hip quick girls, the quiet nerd guys like me, the mathematicians, the hip head. From some walks of life, we all came together to form an endeavor in music.
It's just a close, class of 1989. And an incredible thrill it is to be able to say, congratulations, you planted a seed in me,
Diana, the trustees are honored to welcome you into the Worcester Academy Hall of Fame and to this podium.
I can't believe that anyone would expect me to talk after what I just saw. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm often a woman of many words, but now I feel speechless. My whole life, in a way, is passing before my eyes as I watch this, and I'm so grateful for the time and the thought that must have gone into preparing this beautiful, beautiful presentation that I will treasure always. And speaking of treasuring, thank you, Worcester Academy, for giving me 25 years of treasures. 25 years of the most remarkable, young, enthusiastic, exciting, brilliant students that any teacher could ever hope for. I tried really hard to go back in my mind and think about how could I possibly share with you the wonderful thoughts and feelings I have about the students that I knew here. And in fact, I'm so grateful too, because even though I don't like to admit it, I spend a lot of time on Facebook because that's my way of staying in touch with these magnificent human beings who've gone out into the world and done so well and contributed so much, particularly in the arts. So I kept trying to boil down everything to a story or a word or a thought, and you can imagine that it wasn't easy. But strangely enough, I came up with one recollection that I always enjoy thinking about. And the recollection was fairly characteristic of my history here, and that is, it was the recollection of one of the many times that I kind of got into trouble. I was directing, as I always was, in the pit, which is where I spent a good part of 25 years here. And we were working very, very hard on a production. I'm not even sure what it was, but I remember how exciting it was and the magnificent students that were involved in that particular project. Well, rehearsals were running sort of on the long side. It was a tough script and a long script. And so we got into the habit of every evening after rehearsal, which was practically every evening, we would gather in the dining hall and I would give the dreaded director's notes for what might possibly have gone wrong in rehearsal that evening. In fact, though, most of those note sessions were really about pointing out some of the magnificent creative choices that students were making, both on stage and students off stage, working on set design and so forth. So it turned out that night after night, we sat around this table in the dining hall, and with each passing evening, something kept happening, and that was the note-taking session became more and more hilarious. And by the end of each session, somehow we, maybe 12 or 14 students and I, ended up in gales of laughter in the dining hall, talking about the collaborative process that we were engaging in to do this production. Well, shortly after that time, I got the dreaded note that all teachers do not want to get, and that is, could you please stop by my office? I was Ms. Watson at the time. I have something I want to talk to you about. I had heard these words before. But of course, I made my way to the office, both curious and somewhat terrified about what there might be to discuss. And I met with, many of you will remember, our dear, wonderful George Andes, who at the time was Dean of Faculty. And George sat me down and broke it to me very gently that a complaint had been registered about me and my students in the dining hall. And some unknown person, who to this day remains anonymous, had complained rather bitterly that my students and I were laughing too much in the dining hall. And would we please apologize and stop all that horrifying laughter? Well, at that moment, I wasn't laughing because I knew I was about to do something that would probably be deemed insubordinate. So I said, Mr. Andes, I'm sorry, but I can't comply with your request. I can't comply because we laugh together because we are joyful together. We laugh together because we are celebrating the collaborative process. We are celebrating the discovery of creativity and trust and excitement. So no, Mr. Andes, I'm sorry. I won't stop laughing. I can't stop laughing. And in behalf of my students, I can never ask them to stop laughing. Now, to a certain extent, you could consider that that was a sort of superficial recollection. But in my mind, it cut right to the heart of my experience here, working with hundreds of students who never failed to amaze me, thrill me, excite me, impress me. And in those 25 years, of course, I had a few bad days here and there, but there wasn't one day that I wasn't amazed and grateful to have students like the ones that I had at Worcester Academy. So I want to thank Worcester Academy for giving me my home away from home. You can ask my husband how much time I used to spend here as opposed to there. For giving me the opportunity to send my daughter, Kate, to Worcester Academy, which she will forever be grateful for. And most of all, thank you for giving me 25 years of joy and laughter. And I am so grateful to have been here and so grateful for the honor that you've given me today. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Our final Hall of Fame inductee for the evening is Victor Fields, and like Adam, he is somewhere out there. And so what we will do for both Victor Hey, Victor! Yay! Good work, good work. All right, so I now welcome to the room Victor Fields, class of 1971, and tonight he is to be inducted into the Worcester Academy Hall of Fame. He's an American jazz singer and Billboard charted artist. Victor was born in Brooklyn, New York, but spent most of his growing years in Worcester. Victor entered the Academy as Worcester's first A Better Chance Scholar. A Better Chance is a nonprofit founded in 1963 to identify, recruit, and develop leaders among young people of color throughout the United States. Victor was selected as a Better Chance Scholar and was awarded a full 4-year scholarship to the Academy for his community youth leadership and for his achievements as a student athlete. Victor attended Worcester Academy as both a day and boarding student. While on the Hilltop, he contributed a series to the Vigornia, Black Perspectives, was active in student government, theater, and athletics, selected as captain of his varsity basketball and soccer teams. He also developed artistically, receiving the Best New Actor Award for his role as Tony in the production of West Side Story. After receiving a bachelor's degree in political science at Bowdoin College, Victor moved to Oakland, California, where he fostered a successful business career, all the while studying voice and becoming an emerging classical singer. But popular music was his passion. Victor has been a dynamic presence at Worcester Academy as a trustee, flying back and forth from the West Coast for the past 2 decades. He is the founder of the Worcester Academy Association of Black Alumni, connecting with alumni and current students of color, ensuring that their stories are heard and their sense of belonging honored. Victor has stood on this stage before, many times, but at least once because he was the recipient of the Academy's Cole Porter Class of 1908 Recognition Award. Victor, the trustees of Worcester Academy are honored to welcome you into the Worcester Academy Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for a heartfelt introduction. This live stream is driving me crazy, so I hope that we can get from beginning to end, because I'd like to say a few things to some people who mean a lot to me. I'd like to begin by thanking Dave Forsberg, Kim Stone, who gave me that wonderful introduction, the Hall of Fame Committee, the president of the board, and good friend Jim Petro, and my fellow trustees. Thank you for this incredible honor. It's something I didn't see coming. Usually you get inducted to the Hall of Fame at the end of a career. I'm not done yet, so for me, induction into the Worcester Academy Hall of Fame sets the table for the next chapter, which is full of new challenges and new possibilities. I'd like to congratulate all the honorees tonight. I'm honored to share this evening with all of you. I'd also like to thank the staff and everyone who had a hand in making reunion weekend and this awards ceremony a memorable experience. Now, I was asked to make some remarks about what Worcester Academy means to me, so I'd like to share a story. One day after basketball practice, some of you may remember Chet Chasen. And Chet Chasen was our equipment manager, and he asked me to stay around for a pickup game. Now, Chet was an old guy to us back then, probably in his 40s. So I said, sure. When I get there, I see Chet warming up. He's wearing some really tight shorts, really super tight shorts. He's got elbow pads on, knee pads. He's got white Converse, high tops. Then I look over and I see Tommy Connor, and good Lord, he didn't have the jump shot. He had a two-handed set shot. The only ball player was Coach Wendelkin, John Wendelkin. He was a coach. He torched us every day at practice, so we knew he was dangerous. The other guy was Paul Marino. Mr. Marino was my French teacher, for crying out loud. So I figured these old guys just wanted to work out. Well, it turns out they wanted to win. And they commenced to whoop our butts every day. And they talked trash and said some things I can't repeat to get under our skin. And the games were brutal. It was no longer a gym, it was a crime scene. The first time Chet elbowed me in the chest, I thought someone had shot me. Thank God for elbow pads. And it seemed like the harder we played, the worse we got beat. After a while, we did start winning, but it wasn't until we started winning that we began to realize that this was never a game. It was a lesson. They were passing down a tradition, a mindset that defined us as hilltoppers, a mindset of toughness, of edginess, with a huge chip on our shoulders. I learned from that experience that when you are challenged, you never retreat or cancel. You work harder, smarter. You find ways to add, expand, and include. You never let fear divide you and allow it to bring unity and to elevate you. At Worcester Academy, we never followed a crowd, we led. Fear and criticism may have made other people fragile. We were not fragile people. Fear and criticism made us wiser, stronger, more resolute. We were taught to think, to rely on truth and sound judgment, not on some jingle or shallow cliche. We were shown a pathway to achieve the honorable, and we learned that the path is not straight. It has many twists and turns, peaks and valleys. We learned to love learning, to keep our minds open, and to explore, accept, not ignore and reject new ideas. We learned that you may not win every time, but playing to win all of the time increases your chances. That's what Worcester Academy means to me. I'd like to thank my Worcester family who are watching on the live stream. Oxford Street School, Chandler Street Schoolyard, 168 Chandler, All Saints, Knicks, House Parties, Beaver Brook, Great Brook Valley, Kenny Troy's Sky Model Cities, Dances at the Y, so many fun memories. When the bar got higher, I continued to rise because I never wanted to let you down. I love you, and I share this honor with you. To a better chance, my HBCU experience. It was tough love and high expectations. I owe you a huge debt of gratitude. I'm now one of thousands of students of color that have been placed in private secondary schools. Many are captains of industry, the arts, and government, like your former governor, Patrick Duval. I'd like to acknowledge and give a shout out to the mighty class of 1971. What better time to be inducted into the Hall of Fame than during our 50th class reunion? I'd like to thank my roommate, Bill Kemp. Thanks for all the laughs and the corny jokes, man. To Mike Scully, Mr. EKA, you were the class thespian, but you couldn't sing, dude. So I got the part as Tony in West Side Story, and that was really a blast. Imagine a black Tony. If only Broadway could be that bold. And I'd like to recognize some hilltoppers from back in the day. Some names may be forgotten, but for me, they will always be remembered. Coach George Woody Woodworth, Doc Samco, Coach Hampton Perkins, D. Rowe, who we lost earlier this year, may he rest in peace, Robert Bob Hawks, Big Bad Bob LaBranch, Dutch Rader, Ralph Hughes, Bob Macko, Bruce Acker, John Bloom, and George Andes. And finally, Irv Freeman. Irv sent me a congratulatory email yesterday. Thank you, sir, for that. And to Steve Munger, my college counselor, who sold me on Bowdoin College. That's where I met the love of my life, my wife, Regina. She's the smartest person I've ever met and the real Hall of Famer in our house. Columbia Law School, clerked in the Ninth Circuit with Judge Cecil Poole, and is a retired partner with Sidley Austin. Next month, we celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary. My daughter, Regina Victor, who is equally as bright and talented as a director, dramaturge, writer, and the artistic director at Sideshow Theater in Chicago. I love you. I can't wait to see you and get my hug. And remember, who runs the world? And to my grandparents, Joseph English and Mabel English, my mother, Edith English Moses, they are no longer here. Love remains. You were my rock, and this award is for you, and I hope you are proud. And to my big sister, Nancy Foster. Wow, man, when I was too young to go to school, she held class in the living room. She was tough too, man. When I entered the first grade, I was ahead of my class and already writing cursive. So thanks for the head start, sis, and for always, always, always loving me. I hope you're proud. Finally, I'd like to leave you with some words of encouragement. To anyone out there struggling with mental health issues or just feeling up against a wall, remember, just because you are by yourself doesn't mean that you are alone. And every setback is just a setup for a comeback. Thank you so much. I'm deeply honored.
Thank you, Victor. Award recipients will be recognized in the Alumni Hall of Honor located between Walker Hall and the Megaron. This concludes a wonderful award ceremony. Those of you who are celebrating reunion years should now join the festivities at the Performing Arts Center and may walk or take advantage of the shuttle outside. Thank you and have a good evening.